All right, let's jump right in. I've got a question for you, and I want you to answer with your gut, okay? No overthinking. What do you really think is more dangerous?
Flying an airplane or just driving a car? Think about it. You probably have an answer that popped into your head, right? Instantly. Go on, lock it in.
Okay, so if you said flying, you're not alone. At all. But, and you probably know where this is going, you're also wrong. Statistically, anyway. Now, this isn't about being smart or dumb. It's because your brain is doing something kinda sneaky.
And that sneaky shortcut? It actually has a name. It's called the Availability Heuristic. And that's what we're digging into today. We're gonna figure out why our brains are so good at confusing what's easy to remember with what's actually true.
Right, so what is this thing, really? This mental shortcut that seems to be working against us sometimes. Let's get into it.
So, the availability heuristic. It's actually pretty simple on the surface, but wow, is it powerful. Basically, your brain has this little rule it follows. If I can picture it right now super easily, it must be super common. And if I have to dig deep to think of an example, well then it must be rare. It's a total snap judgment, all based on how fast something pops into your head.
And this quote, it just nails it. Memory becomes a substitute for reality. See, we think we're looking at the facts, but we're not. We're just looking at our own memories. And our memory, it's not some perfect, objective database. It's more like a highlight reel of the most dramatic moments.
Okay, so you've got to be asking, why do our brains even have this thing? It seems kind of flawed, right? Well, here's the twist. It's not a bug, it's a feature. A really, really old feature that just hasn't gotten the latest software update for, the modern world.
See, for almost all of human history, this shortcut was a lifesaver, literally. If you could instantly remember that story about your cousin getting sick from those red berries, or the sound a predator makes right before it pounces, that quick recall is what kept you alive. Easy to remember meant it was important.
But here's the problem. We're not sitting around a campfire listening to the village elder anymore. We are absolutely bombarded. We've got 24/7 news, social media feeds designed to grab us, headlines that scream for attention. And in that world, the stuff that's easy to remember is usually the stuff that's shocking or scary, not the stuff that happens every day.
So where does this actually show up? Because this isn't just some fun little brain puzzle. This thing is actively shaping how you see the world every single day.
And that takes us right back to where we started, flying versus driving. Think about it. A plane crash is, thankfully, incredibly rare. But when one happens, it's everywhere. The images are vivid, the stories are heartbreaking, and you see them again and again. Meanwhile, car accidents, which happen constantly, they're just a blip on the local news, if that. So the memory of a plane crash is big and bright and easy to grab, while the risk of driving is kind of vague and quiet.
And this goes way beyond just travel. I mean, the whole point of the news is to tell you what's not normal, right? You're never going to see a headline that says, hey, millions of people had a totally fine, boring day. No way. What you do see are crime stories, natural disasters, rare tragedies, because that's what's memorable. And when that's all you see day in and day out, it's easy to start believing the world is way, way more dangerous than the numbers actually show.
It's not just the media either. It's us, our own lives. A single powerful personal experience can completely overwrite thousands of boring data points. Like if your friend just got laid off, the entire job market can feel like it's collapsing, right? Even if the official numbers say unemployment is super low. That one story, that one person it just feels more true than a spreadsheet from some government office.
And here's why this really, really matters. This isn't harmless. It messes with our sense of risk, and that has huge, real-world consequences. I mean, think about money. A big, dramatic stock market crash. That story sticks in your head forever. But the slow, steady, kind of boring growth of a good investment, you never hear about that. So what happens? We make decisions based on fear. Or think about health. We might obsess over some rare, scary disease we saw on TV, but completely ignore the actual risks in our day-to-day lives. This stuff even shapes public opinion and policy. If the news is all about one type of crime, for example, people get scared and they demand new laws, even if the data shows it isn't the biggest problem. It's a powerful emotional overreaction that can affect everything from our wallets to our laws.
Okay, so the good news. We're not doomed here. We can't just switch this feature off in our brains. It's going to make those instant connections. But what we can do is learn to stop and question them. We can build a kind of mental firewall.
So how do we do that? Here are 4 things you can try. Number 1, when something feels super risky,
Go look for the actual numbers, the facts. Frequency beats feeling every time. Number 2, if you have a really strong emotional reaction to something, just pause. That emotion is a huge red flag that this bias might be kicking in. 3, always remember that one story, just one, is not the whole picture. You have to zoom out. And finally, number 4, try to get your information from different places. Just because you see the same story repeated over and over again doesn't mean it's more important. It just means it's getting amplified.
This is really the heart of it all. Our brains are hardwired to think that if something is vivid and emotional and easy to picture, it must be significant. The availability heuristic is just the name for that process, the one that turns a memorable story into a feeling of absolute certainty.
But we have to remember the hard truth here. Reality doesn't care how good the story is. A fact is a fact, whether it's totally boring or completely sensational. The numbers don't magically change just because a story pulls at your heartstrings.
So, from now on, whenever you get that feeling, that gut certainty that something is happening everywhere, just take a second, pause, and ask yourself this one simple question. Is this truly common, or is it just really, really easy for me to remember right now? Honestly, the answer to that question could completely change the way you see the world.